Today's podcast is brought to you by Mechanics Bank. Mechanics Bank is here to help you with everyday life, whether that's buying a home, renovating a kitchen, or paying for college. They have the products and, more importantly, the people to help you breathe easy and say, that's better. Check out mymechanics.com, call, or visit to see how they can make banking better for you. Mechanics Bank is an equal housing lender. Welcome to the Open Mic Podcast. It is my favorite week of the year. I get to do so much journalism around music. We have the INKcarceration happening, and it is so much fun. And I'm joined by Dan Smith, the Associate Director of the Ohio State Reformatory. Been one of my friends since, I first started here.
Yeah,
I don't
absolutely.
even remember how we met, but man,
I think
it is good
Cleveland
to see
Browns.
you. What was that?
Cleveland Browns.
Is that right?
I
Okay.
think so.
All
yeah,
right.
when you came
All
out
right.
when they did the ghost hunt.
Yeah. Oh, that was so much fun. I remember that you sent me an email or a Facebook message, I think,
Yeah.
and you were like, "Hey, do you want to come down and shoot photos of the Cleveland Browns?" And I was like, "Is this real life?" Hell yeah, I do. But yeah. So I'm really glad that you're here. We have several things we're going to talk about. Recently, you had Eric Church come and perform, or not really perform, but shoot a music video. You're having the INKcarceration, which is a huge music festival. This is the second year that you guys are going to be hosting it at the prison. And also coming up very soon is the Shawshank 25-year anniversary, which is a big deal for our community. So let's start with the INKcarceration. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Okay.
First of all, talk to me a little bit about how the whole idea sort of began.
Yeah, so we've always thought that the Reformatory is really cool for a music festival. Years ago we had Lil Wayne and Godsmack, and these artists performed there, and people always on the tours got really excited finding out the music videos were shot there. So we just thought that was something really cool that we would love to be able to bring the community, having the venue and being able to have a really cool environment to basically have a festival like that. We thought we'd love to be able to have something that people don't have to drive to Columbus or Cleveland, that we could have something right here locally centered in Mansfield. And we met with the crew that is now running it. They were super excited to make it happen, and we really looking forward to year two.
Yeah, my editor and several other sort of local people always talk about how Mansfield is the only real thriving, if you will, city between Cleveland and Columbus. And I think that the music festival really sort of showcased that to be true, because you had media that I was there with from Cleveland, from Columbus, from Cincinnati, and it was just really sort of interesting to see all of these iHeartMedia and big news companies, as well as the Cleveland Plain Dealer and Cleveland Scene, come down and sort of be in Mansfield and experience something very
Sure.
Mansfield-y with OSR.
Sure. And the people that are involved in making the festival really happen, and their crew, they love to be able to help promote Mansfield too.
Right.
And they have a lot of connections throughout Ohio and different things, so it's really been best case scenario for everybody involved, and we think year two is just going to bring a lot of cool things that people are going to be excited about.
Yeah, I was surprised. It was the very first music festival that I'm embarrassed to say that I'd ever covered,
Okay.
and it's by far one of the most. You know what? It was the best way for me to have ever experienced a music festival, I think, because all I had to do was show my badge, and I was able to get up in front of the stage, and everything just worked out exactly how you sort of imagined it going.
Yeah.
And it was just so easy to understand how the process was and everything. And I turned around at one point, I think during the final show, when it was, who was the band that played on that Saturday? It was Bush. And it was just wild to turn around and see that maybe all 18,000 fans who showed up for the music festival were there behind me, and they were all just so excited. And you know what I thought was really cool? It was so hot that day, and I was underprepared for how hot it was. I think that I had sweat through my shirt, and I had my backpack with camera lenses in it, so it was heavier than normal, and I was soaking wet. And so this year I'm gonna bring at least 2 t-shirts. But so there was alcohol involved, and there was no violence. There was no one, everyone was very polite, which I don't know, I guess I sort of have a low idea of humanity maybe, but I was just very surprised at how well behaved people were, considering how just miserable the heat sort of made you.
Sure. Yeah, I think everybody had a really good time. It seemed like the vibe was really good.
Yeah.
Everybody was there just to like enjoy it and sit back. And I think people not having a festival like that in Mansfield, that everybody that was here really appreciated having something like that. I don't want to say you take it for granted, maybe being in Cleveland and Columbus, but having something new like that here, I think people were just really excited to get out and have, summer with friends and listen to some music. So
yeah, well, another thing that I guess maybe I should or shouldn't say is you sort of like, like it wasn't screamo music, but it was very aggressive music at times. And so you sort of think of like these big mosh pits where like people are going to fight or like, you know, and that just didn't happen either. And it was, I mean, I say a family sort of event where you probably could have brought, a teenager and
absolutely
have had a fantastic time. And so to me, again, I was just very happily surprised at what I was able to sort of witness when I wasn't staring through the pinhole of a camera.
Sure. Now that you've had year one, what do you hope for year two? Like, seeing
personally? I don't know. I think that what I was able to do. So first of all, I was sort of an idiot and didn't really realize that going all 3 days was a possibility for someone like me. So I put in credits for all 3 days. Unfortunately, I can't be there this Friday because Gospel Night with Newsroom After Hours is happening. So that was poor planning on my part. But I'm going to get to be there for 2 days. And I think that what I realized at the very beginning of the Saturday that I was there last year, by the time Bush played to sort of be the final show, was that you have only like 2 or 3 songs to get the shots that you want. And you have to sort of be aggressive in your shot taking because there are so many. I mean, there's not an overwhelming amount of bodies in the press in that little like tight 5-foot area. And everyone is really pretty good at sharing, or at least they were there. But I sort of just I'm excited to like get to go and be a part of it again, be part of like the whole mess that is like desperate, like trying to get the band person's attention to look in your camera. But also I'm just excited to get to go in and practice shooting again because I thought that some of the photos I took last year are some of the best photos I've ever taken.
Yeah, I loved it. I saw a lot of yours. They were great.
Yeah, well, thank you. That means a lot to me. And I'm also really excited because this year I get to interview 2 bands. They actually contacted me, which is thrilling.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so that's exciting. I'm bringing along Tracy Liturgy. She just got married. No longer Tracy Geibel, for those who know our reporters. And so we are going to be doing a sort of a video of those interviews, which I'm really excited about because last year I didn't even know that you could interview someone there. So it's really exciting. But let's talk a little bit more about how the festival sort of publicity for the festival, if you will. Last year, the festival generated over $6,000 for local charities and ended up winning the Tourism Award of Excellence. Now, I realize that you're only sort of legally at least the host of the site, but
yeah, that is correct.
But from being the host standpoint, that's awesome for OSR.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really a partnership, so I think it's a win for both of us. And they really relied on us a lot of how, the venue can work to bring in a festival. You have all those people, and one of the other things that's really interesting about it is there are a lot of the bands that want to take tours of the building. So we're getting all this brand new press and potentially bringing people in that have never been to the Reformatory before and learning about everything we do there. So it was really incredible for them to win the award, and especially year one. I think that meant a lot to them to really see that they're investing because most of them don't live in Mansfield, so they are commuting daily, an hour and a half to come down here, and they do it all year. I mean, this is their full-time job. So I think it was a huge win for everybody for them to get that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, along with the extra press that you're getting, I mean, it definitely adds prestige to like be able to be like, yeah, we don't just give tours of the ghost haunted areas to the Cleveland Browns, but we also have like, potentially Shine Down come down. Like that's I mean, really cool. The other half of the festival, and this is probably equally, although not as much to me because I'm a music fan, not a tattoo fan, but is the fact that you guys have this huge monstrosity inside of tattoo competitions and tattoos being created on people. Talk to me a little bit about that because, I mean, for people who are tattoo fans, to me it's just ink that you have to look at for the rest of your life. But Talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it is a very different culture in a cool way. I mean, these people are looking at these pieces on their body truly as art. So to be able to talk to these tattoo artists that come really from throughout the world, and especially the United States, to come to the event and be able to showcase what they do is really incredible. I don't have any tattoos, at least yet.
I was going to ask.
No, everybody's always said, like, I should get one for working there. So maybe someday.
Maybe you could get a INKcarceration tattoo with Tim Robbins underneath or
Yeah,
something.
you never know, right? But what's really cool about it is an interesting culture that's like no other that I've ever seen before. And to be able to see really people that are following these tattoo artists, it's almost like following a band around and things like that they follow these people. And it's really grown, and they have a lot of artists that are really famous throughout. So that's really cool. But yeah, I mean, people love to, I mean, what's cooler than getting, prison ink, truly. So
right,
that's an experience that we tried to really help make a festival that's like no other in the country. You can go to stadiums and you can go see, a festival like that, which is great. Don't get me wrong, but we don't know anything that's like this throughout the United States. So it does have that unique draw, we think.
Well, yeah, I mean, it really is sort of a perfect trifecta of sort of that type of music and prison tats, and then also just the history of the prison, which I mean, the fact that it's haunted is really cool, but it's also just a gorgeous prison. And on top of that, the history of the prison, whether it's, it's obviously not always like the happiest history, but it's interesting for people who are interested in history, and I just think that, like, really you guys outdid yourselves by the culmination of all three of those things in one spot.
Well, thank you. We appreciate it. And this opens, especially, this is kind of off topic a little bit, but after Eric Church, people always ask us, are you going to do like another type of festival, like a country festival or something like that?
Yeah.
And I mean, I think with seeing this, of how this is turning out, never say no, for sure. I mean, I think if it's something that you can align the right pieces, who says you can't do a whole, summer music festival series out there, truly.
Yeah, well, that'd be great. Let me know when the Ava Brothers are scheduled to play, please.
Absolutely.
Talk to me a little bit about Eric Church. I wrote the story. You sent me a text, I think, on a Sunday morning, and you said, hey, just so you know, Eric Church released his music video, and a lot of it had to do with the prison, and then you sent me the link to the YouTube video,
yeah,
and I looked, and absolutely the vast majority, I would argue maybe 89% of the video took place inside the Reformatory. And so then I think we back and forth on Facebook Messenger, and I wrote the story, and I kid you not, within 15 minutes that story had gone viral.
Oh, I remember seeing it after you posted it, and it went crazy. Yeah. I remember I had just found out that it went. We knew that it would be within the week, but we didn't know. And then they, shot me a text and said, hey, it's out. So you were the first one I texted and said, here it is. Let's do it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I just think that, like, the virality of that story really goes to show not just how great of a writer I am, just kidding, but how important Eric Church and country music is to this area, and also the power that he holds. But also, I mean, super cool that he chose the OSR. And talk to us a little bit about why he chose OSR, because you said that he was a big fan of Shawshank.
Yeah, so it was really interesting. I actually got a call on my birthday on March 13th, a voicemail, and it was very subtle, just saying, hey, Eric Church wants to shoot a music video there. And I was like, is this a prank? Like,
well, what a great birthday present.
Yeah, exactly. So usually what starts with those conversations is a publicist or somebody reaches out, and it takes a while. We actually didn't think we were going to get it, just because he was on tour at that time.
Right.
So to basically be able to close the Reformatory for an entire day, secretly get him in, shoot the whole video, get him out without anybody knowing, it can happen, but it takes a lot of pieces for sure. And I think it was a couple months we went back and forth, and we finally locked in a date and made it happen. Nicest guy in the world. Even I know about country music, but not near to the extent that a lot of the fans do.
Sure.
I didn't even realize when he came how big of a deal he was to that audience. I mean, it was top tier, and I knew that he was big, but to see people, especially like after Rich and Source article came out and everything, of just how impactful that was to people that he was here was huge.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that like the Rich and Source article that I wrote had maybe 400 comments, and almost the over whatever the word is, the grand majority of the commenters were all like, oh my God, I love Eric Church. And I liked some of his stuff. I'm not a big country musician fan, especially I love bro country, but I'm not a huge country music fan. And so I knew of him. I've known some of his songs, and I had no idea how appreciated he was. And so I think, big get by OSR, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And one of the nicest guys in the world. I mean, he hung out with us, and he had his, huge tour buses out. And when he wasn't shooting, he was just talking about the building and wanted to know about Shawshank.
Right.
And it was really cool. Yeah, I mean, Shawshank was really the big draw. He loved the movie, and he said, hey, figure out if we can shoot at that prison. And, I mean, it was really, truly an incredible experience.
How often do artists reach out to you? Is it like every year? Is it every once in a blue moon?
We get a lot of different artists reach out, a lot of like Cleveland and Columbus artists and things like that. It is tricky for smaller artists just because obviously with a video, they need to be able to walk through certain areas without tour guests and things like that. So sometimes based on events and ghost hunts, things like that, it's really hard to make it happen. But we probably get a handful a year on the level of like Eric Church, probably like one every 2 years maybe that reach out. We have a lot of things that reach out that just for whatever reason can't happen for logistic reasons on their end or other things. But we get a lot of requests, whether it's TV shows or movies and things like that. So it's really cool that obviously people are still seeing about it. I think things like INKcarceration or getting kind of the word out nationwide of like, wow, this is a cool place. I still have people all the time that have no idea that it's in Ohio. That they're like, I didn't know the Reformatory's in Mansfield. So that's a cool thing to have that I feel like we're still kind of on the ground that all these people, it's still untapped potential. So that's really interesting and fun to have.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not just Eric Church who's come to perform a music video there. Lil Wayne has come, and I remember when you go on a tour, you see that certain bars of a prison stall
he's got
or whatever,
he's got a cell used, painted gold, still gold, and people love it. I mean, they still love it. And Godsmack had a video there who's coming back to Ink this year, so it's really cool. And I think Eric Church was fun because it is a different genre of music. So to have all these different types that if you don't like one, you figure out, but this person shot here. So it's really cool that it's really somebody for everybody.
Well, yeah, and I mean, I think the fact that you have like Eric Church shooting something there and then Lil Wayne shooting there, it just really shows that like it's just a prison, sort of like whoever needs to make a video including a prison can use OSR.
Absolutely.
It's not just like only rap music or only pop music or only country.
And I think that's one of the coolest elements of it is that it can be used for so many different types of music and shows and different stuff like that. Yeah.
Speaking of shows, sort of, you recently got credited in a big-time Hollywood movie. Tell us a little bit about the movie that just came out.
Yeah, Escape Plan: The Extractor. So that was really cool. Probably the longest turnaround of something I did. So a couple years ago, we shot that, and that was really cool to see it all come to life. They shot back in September and October of 2017, so it was really cool to see it. A lot of people have been excited, and again, just showing the prison off in a different way, and a lot of people have been really excited to see what we've done with it. So
yeah, and I understand that it's in stores now, correct?
Yeah, that is correct. So nationwide, it should be in all Walmarts and Targets and Best Buy and things like that. So yeah, and you can get it on VOD and all that kind of stuff, so you can rent it from your house. Yeah,
you made an Instagram or Facebook, some social media post about how you've always loved videos and stuff. Just talk to me a little bit about how awesome it is that you finally have your name on a Hollywood
it's crazy. I still can't really believe it to be able to have that opportunity and bring the movie to Mansfield and a lot of other people from Mansfield.
We're Jay Allred,
yeah,
my publisher,
absolutely. I saw that he was the mayor in there, so that's awesome. It's cool. It really just adds another element to Mansfield. It adds another element to what the Reformatory holds. We have a lot of the outfits they actually wore, a lot of the weapons, so we couldn't put them on display until after the movie came out. So we're going to make a whole display of all that stuff. So it just adds something really cool. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was a dream come true to be able to work on a Hollywood movie and bring it. And we hope that this is kind of the kickoff for more movies. And even if the whole movie isn't in Mansfield or something, but if they can use a prison scene, we actually have possibly a huge request for a movie, which I can't talk about. But
you can't do me like that, Dan. Come on.
But it might be shooting at the Reformatory later this year, which has got some huge people in it. So we'll see.
Fast and Furious 7 Prison Break, maybe?
I mean, I don't think so, but I'll take it. Okay. If they want to come down and the Rock wants to come, let's go.
Yeah, my bad. That will not happen. Just to be very clear, listeners. But now I'm too busy laughing. I forgot what I was going to come up with next. But talk to me a little bit more about the museum. You said that you're going to put on a display of the outfits.
Yeah, so we, on the first floor, if you come into the Reformatory, we have artifacts and outfits, not just from the Reformatory, but prisons throughout the state of Ohio. So that's really cool.
Including an electric chair, right?
Yeah, we have an electric chair that was
called
used.
Shocky.
Yeah, so we have that was used at the Ohio Penitentiary in Columbus. So that's really cool. It's interesting to have different floors. So you have kind of the history, the prison on the first floor. You're going to go to the second floor and have like a lot of the Hollywood stuff. We're going to have a room for Air Force One from Harrison Ford. So it's really cool that you're going to go throughout the prison and see basically these different museums all in one. And it's cool because it doesn't cost more. It's all included in the same price. So depending on what you're looking for, whether it's all of it or certain elements, you kind of have that ability to kind of make your own tour, truly.
Yeah, absolutely. And I guess the last thing that I have planned to talk about is the Shawshank anniversary, which is coming up August 16th, 17th, and 18th.
That is it. Yep.
Awesome. And it's the 25th year of probably the most important movie that was ever shot in Mansfield. Talk to us a little bit about what visitors on those dates can expect to see.
So it's really cool. On Friday, we have a Q&A at the Renaissance. So that will start. A lot of the actors will be there. And then from there on Saturday, we're going to have the Shawshank 7K run in the morning. We're going to have a meet and greet in the afternoon with all the actors. And then there's a Shawshank cocktail reception in the evening. So basically you'll be able to, which is actually sold out now. We might try to see if we can do some more tickets. We only have so big, obviously, of the venue for that. But a lot of the actors will be there for that. And it's cool. It's just really a celebration. I mean, that is the main reason. Of course, people come to the Reformatory, and it is that experience really for them to be able to see, wow, I'm coming back to the same place it was filmed with all of the actors that we can get. So, and we actually have 2 more actors that I just got text, which I can't say yet, but it'll give you something fun. But 2 more people got added this morning. So.
Dan, I tell you what,
I'm killing you, man.
I was
know.
literally about to ask you what actors were coming, and now we don't get to know. But I do know that Fat Ass is going.
He is there. We have the warden that's coming back, William Sadler, who played Haywood, and Boggs, who was in the movie. So, but
and Morgan Freeman's son.
Yeah, he'll be back. Alfonso. So he played a guy named Fresh Fish, who was just basically saying like things to Tim Robbins when he came in, and he also played Morgan's photo on the parole board.
Okay.
So yeah,
Very
I mean
cool.
it's really cool, and a lot of the media is picking up on it, and they know it's a huge celebration. So we're excited for the ability to really get the biggest cast reunion ever and be able to bring them back to Mansfield. This is the most people from the movie that's ever been connected in one space since the filming.
Yeah, so talk to me, just because the movie was shot when I was like maybe 1 year old, I think 1993 or something. So I was 1 when it shot, and I've only lived in Mansfield for 4 years. So if you can, just explain to me a little bit about what this movie means to the community.
Yeah, I think really it has such a huge impact. I mean, obviously, for people that don't know, we have the Shawshank Trail that's not just in Mansfield, but in surrounding counties that have filming locations. And being able to work at the Reformatory, I see these people that drive from and fly literally from throughout the world to come to Mansfield to experience this movie. And I think Mansfield really takes a lot of pride in that film just because of what it means to so many people throughout the world and things like that. So it's really interesting for us to be able to have a celebration and really put it out to the fans of the world and say, hey, come back and check it out. So it's cool.
Yeah, we don't have to get into the numbers or anything, but OSR is like the biggest tourism draw in the county, correct?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean,
mostly because of Shawshank.
Yeah, I mean, Shawshank, I think, is really the thing that saved the building. I mean, that's when the nonprofit that we work for started after the filming was there, and a lot of people got together and said, you know, this is worth saving, this is important. And now for them, that a lot of them are still alive and are on the board. So I love that the elements that they can see what's happening now with INKcarceration and the 25th anniversary and the Eric Church music video. It's really cool to see it kind of come full circle of all the people that care about the Reformatory and care about the prison for whatever is important to them. So that's really cool.
Yeah, so my grandparents live in Upper Sandusky, and the church that I don't know the name of that they attend, the minister was an extra.
Yeah. And
so every once in a while he'll throw in a story about shooting that movie into his sermons. And so that's really cool for my grandparents to sort of get a little bit more of like background information on it. But there were a lot of extras who still live in this town,
Absolutely.
too, which is probably maybe that's normal for most places where there are movies. They just make a, casting call for it, like as we said, for the Prison Break movie that we had just talked about. But talk to me a little bit about sort of how that has also sort of kept the history of the Shawshank prison and the memory of the movie alive, if you will.
Yeah, I think one of the coolest things about having the Reformatory and things like that is that the fact when people ask me, why is this so important, or why do people still come here? Because a lot of times you have stages where they shoot a movie, things like that. You can't interact with that. The fact that you can walk into the Reformatory, I mean, we see this with Eric Church, who got to see the tunnel that Tim Robbins crawled through. So, oh my God, there it is. Or the warden's actual safe that they used in the movie.
That tunnel is not very big, by the way.
It is not very big. So it's kind of got plexiglass on it now and things like that. But they definitely wanted to make it seem like that was a small tunnel.
And they succeeded.
Absolutely. But I guess I look at a lot of those iconic movies that are, what people consider the world's greatest movies, and there's not a lot of those that, it's on private property or whatever. The fact that it's a tourism destination, I don't think there's a lot of those out there, and I think that makes it really a cool element for everybody, whatever they're using the prison for. It always comes back to, oh my God, I can't believe they shot Shawshank here, and we're walking the same, for the most part, the sets of a lot of the filming of it. So that's really cool.
Well, it's also awesome that I think it's still on TV a lot, and I think that sort of creates new fans every time it plays. Like if you, for whatever reason, hadn't seen the movie, you watch it and you're like, wow, this movie is really great. And I think that also sort of helps add that it's sort of like a Friends rerun where like it never gets old. It's always awesome.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I think it's like almost like a comfort food to people, you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
And I hear people all the time say, oh, no matter if it's halfway through, if I'm at home, I sit there and watch it, or I have it on the background when I'm making dinner or whatever. I think a lot of people are connected to it for whatever reason. I'll hear people say, oh, this is the movie that got me close to my dad, now he's passed away, and different stuff like that. So
right.
I think there's a lot of feelings and emotions that this has been the story of hope for a lot of people's life, truly, that they've identified with the characters. So
yeah. Is there anything else that you wanted to talk a little bit about before I turn the mic off?
I mean, not that I know of, unless you want to just ask me anything, I guess.
I can ask you anything? Dan, do you know what you just got yourself into?
I do.
All right. Okay. Who is your favorite celebrity that you've ever met at the prison?
Favorite celebrity? Let me think. I probably would actually have to say Eric Church, just because he was so cool to hang out with, and it was like just hanging out with like a buddy or something like that. He was so down to earth, and he had just right after, he'd went to Nashville, and I guess he had like the biggest draw almost ever for a concert. Taylor Swift had been there, but he got like 300 or 400 more, so it beat her out.
Well, of course he did.
But it was crazy that you're hanging out with this guy, and he's playing guitar and just having fun, and then you see him in the stage in front of 53,000 people, and I thought, wow, I mean, you literally would have never known. He was just the most down-to-earth, humble guy, and he was super cool. We actually have some videos of him just playing guitar in like our lounge. He was just hanging out and
that's
talking with
cool.
us. So I would have to say him, just because I think he appreciated what we were doing, and he's so just respectful and loved and appreciated, I think, being able to shoot his video there. It was really a cool concept because they'd shot the Desperate Man video before that, and it was at the CMA Awards, and they lost. But they were like, man, this sucks, all this kind of stuff. So they were shooting this video kind of on like, we got it this year. We're going to try to win. So I think that the CMA Awards are in the fall, if I'm not mistaken. So I'm really excited to see if the Reformatory, if some of it, the video wins and things like that. But that's cool when they have the passion, and really you could see how much he cared about the music that he was making and stuff like that. So they were trying to really make a cool video. So we'll see what happens in the fall.
Cool. Favorite Sylvester Stallone story?
Favorite Sylvester Stallone story. I think what was the most interesting about him is I think he's 72. If he's not, he's right around 72 or 73. So you just have this idea that, oh, he's going to have a stunt double do most of his stuff. And he didn't. Wow. I never saw a stunt double do anything. Okay. He did everything. So I thought, okay, well, I'm never going to pretend I'm tired or my back hurts now from him running around. So that was cool to be able to see just the 72-year-old guy run around punching people and still loving movies. So that was cool.
Have you ever seen a ghost at the Reformatory?
I have never seen a ghost. I've heard screaming come from the hospital wing when nobody was there one time in my life. That's the only thing that's ever happened. Okay. I looked at the cameras, went outside, nobody was there. And it wasn't like a pigeon or wind. I tried to analyze it forever, trying to no, what was it? It wasn't that. I'm pretty sure it was screaming.
So you believe in ghosts?
believe that there's at least some energy or there's something happening there until I have like an experience myself. But we have tour guides that come in that don't believe, and then after a year walking through, they're like, yeah, I believe now.
Okay.
Whether something like they feel like they got scratched or pushed or something like that.
Gotcha.
So I always joke around. I was like, if something exists there, I don't want to make it mad because I have to work there.
Sure.
So I would like it to be
Right.
happy with me if it does exist.
All right. Favorite myth about hauntings at the Reformatory?
I think a lot of people see TV shows, so they assume that when they walk in, they should just start having all these crazy experiences in like 30 seconds. And these shows shoot for like 12 hours, and then they get enough for like 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So I think a lot of people have the idea that they're going to walk in and just get punched and hit and scratched and things like that. And I'm like, no, not really. So I think a lot of people, it takes a couple times, I think, to be ghost hunting to figure out like if you believe in it and things like that. I think it takes some time. TV shows have kind of made it seem they obviously are only editing the good things together. They're not showing the 10 hours of sitting when nothing happens.
Sure. I think I sort of came to that realization when I was with the Cleveland Browns, and I can't remember which one it was, but he was kind of like, oh man, I thought we would like have felt something by now or something, and then they're like holding those like
the dowsing rods.
Yeah, thank you, the dowsing rods, and he's like obviously manipulating it to move them. Okay. I think I am out of questions.
Okay.
But Dan, thank you so much for joining
Absolutely.
the Open Mic Podcast.
Glad to be
It was
here.
a fantastic time, and I look forward to getting a text message about the next superstar to come and make a video.
Sounds good. I'll see you at Ink.
All right. Sounds good.
All right.